On the 26th of April 1986, near the city of Pripyat in Ukraine, a disastrous catastrophe had taken place. The reactor Unit 4 of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant had broken down, which led to its explosion and subsequently to radioactive contamination of the vast area. In a short period of time, over 350,000 people were evacuated and resettled. A restricted zone was designated around this power plant, which extends to many kilometers. All buildings within this zone, including the surrounding city, were abandoned. At the beginning of February 1987, 9 months after the disaster, a team of scientists from the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, which measured radiation in this exclusion zone, received signals that proved the existence of people operating in this area. Also, various unexplained anomalies had been discovered, which could have resulted from a type of radiation previously unknown to scientists. It turned out that near the city of Pripyat, the S.W.A.N. Institute was also located here. Its name comes from the abbreviation Syndrome Without a Name, the term given to the group of symptoms that do not occur in any known and catalogued disease. The facility was unofficially conducting a research program on unprecedented and very disturbing neurological and psychological disorders for many years. After the disaster, the institute was omitted during the evacuation operation because it was not included on any map. Only a few people from the USSR Ministry of Internal Affairs knew about its existence, but after the Chernobyl accident, they chose not to perform rescue operations on its territory. Scientists received details regarding the institute's scope of activity from an anonymous person. The facility was top secret and cut off from the rest of the world. People were sent there from all over the globe, and each medical case was unique in its own way. Because of the extraordinary abilities resulting from unexplored and undiagnosed diseases, patients were a threat to the environment. They were caged up and lived in strict isolation. This entire situation was kept secret from people outside the government, other than the few scientists who were made aware of the institute's activities. Scientists from the Moscow Institute, experts from the General Nuclear Inspectorate of Ukraine, and the rescue staff decided to send a special research and rescue expedition immediately to clarify the source of the anomalies and to save people who might still be alive. The group was commanded by Alexei Tokovsky, a rescue specialist. After determining the exact coordinates of the facility, the group reached the place and got inside. However, all people were separated and lost contact with each other in unexplained circumstances. To all the people whose life changed irreversibly after the events of April 1986 in Chernobyl.
Her medical case was exciting and nightmarish at the same time. 1. I have no idea why, but this monotonous and seemingly funny melody made this woman appear from practically nowhere. 3. It is a contrast of sorts. How a completely innocent sound was a foretelling or an omen of the atrocity to come. 9. Horrifying beauty. 4. For some time now, the dimensions have been increasing. It is time to end this. Luckily, we were able to finish the mind reader prototype. Connecting it to a human brain was troublesome at first, but the procedure gives expected results, and the device can be used after entering the intermediary room. Something incredible was achieved here, something gargantuan. First there was Gagarin, and the first man travels into space. And now we are also multidimensional travelers. If only the world could hear about this.
I am an entity born from experiments that had been taking place in this institute. Those who had witnessed my creation called me the S.W.A.N phenomenon. I developed my own consciousness, and I exist trapped between reality and abstract space-time. I was never a regular person, even though I vividly remember the time when I lived free as a human. My condition was incredibly difficult, and no medical doctor could help me. The symptoms increased to such a point, I was becoming a danger to myself and my surroundings. I then got rejected by my family and persecuted by various people. They tried to kill me. One day, I received a message from a professor who said he was familiar with my case and thought he could try to help me. He claimed to be the founder and director of a specialist facility for people with rare, unknown and dangerous ailments. I was supposed to be put to various tests and undertake experimental treatment methods. Yes, Professor Andrei Kaidanovsky. I saw you getting into his office. Even his notes speak of what despicable man he is. Departure for the Institute was a blessing to me, an escape from a life full of suffering and becoming sicker by the day. Only here was I given a glimpse of hope, a slight shadow of a chance for a cure. For the first time, someone had reached out a helping hand. When I met Kaidanovsky, he was extremely kind-hearted, promising his full involvement in my conditions research and attempts to bring me back to full health. Everything changed when the research has started. I very quickly realized that something else was the main objective here, but it was too late to back out. People like me got locked up in here and were kept by force. They were used for research on obtaining and isolating the so-called S.W.A.N factor for the Soviet Army's needs, apparently. It is a factor present in anybody infected with a S.W.A.N type disease. It makes them unique and grants special abilities, not necessarily good ones. According to the professor, due to the incredible power of my symptoms, I was a great potential source. At the same time, the level of complexity of my illness was extremely high. Experimental methods used by Kaidanovsky did nothing. It frustrated him greatly, triggered some inhuman instincts, even drove him mad. He'd work on my case for hours. I was not indifferent to that. I was suffering and feeling inhuman pain. Thanks to the power of all the devices constructed especially for me, the factor had finally left my body by itself. It divided into two separate entities, light and shadow. I am the shadow entity. You could say that the original me died. However, my consciousness keeps on living in those two elements separated by the factor. At this moment, I have to warn you. The portal you've located, thanks to the Mind Reader, did not appear for no reason. Mind Reader was created in this institute to find those portals and destroy the dimensions they lead to. But for the portal to form and the creator to be able to walk through it, something terrifying is required. If you have special abilities, it is possible to possess a person's life essence through murder and modify space-time to a point. The existence of each portal means somebody's death. Portal's creation destabilizes your human reality. Changes happening in parallel dimensions are starting to have a destructive impact on this world. This is why they have to be destroyed as soon as possible. It is not possible to determine what can happen exactly, but any disturbance to the space-time continuum structure may have terrifying consequences for the whole mankind. It is not to be excluded. After my incident, various tragedies started happening in the Institute. Someone or something started to wreak havoc in here. Chaos took away many lives and new portals were created. It is a lie that the patients did this, although it is most likely what you will read in the staff's notes. I believe it is something much more powerful, some unknown force. This is why the Institute's personnel was trying to fight it so frantically, constructing the mind reader in the process. You shall find out in due time, as I'm sure we'll meet again. In a moment, you will enter the so-called intermediary room. It is a place between the human world and the extra-dimensional one. That's where you get to the memory wasteland, one of the parallel dimensions. That's where the dimension's creator's thoughts are stored and form the foundation for the dimension's existence. When you destroy them, you return to the Institute, and the dimension ceases to exist. Maybe you'll find more portals when you explore the corridors. Remember, each of them means somebody's death.
ADI filter system is our most recent invention. The patient's visions have become so strong and clear, and so far removed from the laws of physics at the same time, that their reflections imprinted in new parallel dimensions, as well as in the thinner layers of space-time continuum. The need for better understanding of those visions and the essence of their evolution has encouraged us to construct a special device that filters information stored the thin layers of dimensions parallel to ours.
it is a mystery you need to discover yourself. I saw you have learned how to use the mind reader. Did you see the message when leaving the wasteland? It is the last wish of the person whose death allowed this portal to be created. It is quite probable, but there is still a lot to be discovered along your path. They are symbols of light. You shall find a use for them soon. Keep on walking, and you shall see the truth. Know only this: the Institute's walls have seen a lot of death and suffering.
time I activate the nadir filter, I see the terrifying silhouette of a man. We call him Blind Man over here. He might be one of those patients with no identity on the closed ward. He keeps calling those sick entities over here. I'm not sure if they're hallucinations or if they're real.
Again, be greeted. I saw your friend. I am ever so sorry it had to happen. Your and your unit's fate has not been decided yet. Have you seen the message when leaving the last wasteland? This message won't be easy for you to handle, but Anatoly might have suffered a lot before drawing his last breath. Gaining the life essence to create a parallel dimension moves the dying person to an unknown space for a split seconds, and even though they've vacated their body, experiences excruciating pain, much worse than the one we know or could possibly imagine. Anyone who had spent a long time in here did not see the day nor night. Behind the Institute walls, the reality becomes an unknown. The perception of the world dies. Time stands still and creates a melted mass of empty but painful events. Memories are formed, but they are replaced with ones that are progressively worse. Anatoly felt like he had spent an eternity in here when he died, and his dying wish was to see a sunrise. It was the last thing he yearned to see upon the acceptance of his departure. Keep on walking, and you shall find the truth.
I've heard about Patient X's room. Nobody know who he is, or where the room he's locked in is located. It is known, however, that unsettling events take place in there, just like they do in the whole damned institute. Blinding lights, door to nowhere, events disproving physics, and overwhelming helplessness against it all. Kaidanation is an incredibly interesting element. We've received it quite recently, so it hasn't been officially approved and applied to the Mendeleev periodic table yet. It is quite stable. It does not exist naturally on Earth. It has the highest atomic number and the highest atomic mass of all known elements. This highly radioactive metal also possesses an extraordinary property. Collecting several of its solid samples grants humans a temporary ability to teleport at small distances and change the position of large objects.
Again, be greeted. I can feel you're getting full of sadness. What message did you read when leaving the memory wasteland? Did you experience any visions this time? Anything else? What else did you see? The room you're describing is one of the most mysterious and secretly kept places in the Institute. It belongs to the so-called Patient X. This patient was, or still is, someone who for an unknown reason closed the exit from this institute. I do not know why they let you see the room, but it was no accident. They are surely aware of your presence. Maybe they wish to give you some information. Let me know when you see that place. If they wanted to do that, they would have done so already. Only they know where the exit is and how to open it. Keep on walking.
Kaidanovsky's radiation has become one of the leading therapeutic tools in the S.W.A.N. Institute. It is emitted by specifically modified lamps, and the effects are immediate. Thanks to a computer driver, the personnel has a possibility to adjust the radiation's intensity depending on requirements. The radiation's long-term effects have not been researched in depth as of yet. It helps keeping the dangerous patients at some distance. Hell knows why this single female is completely resistant to them, like they have a completely opposite effect on her. And this strange melody that keeps following her. Attention! Critical alert! The acceptable level of Kaidanovsky's radiation has been exceeded. All hospital personnel is obliged to start the site evacuation procedure immediately.
again be greeted. Was he in the rescue unit like you? Did you see the message when leaving the wasteland? I haven't seen it for such a long time myself. I am not surprised your friend had wished to see it. Kaidanovsky's radiation is one of experimental therapy methods used in the Institute. Believe me or not, but Kaidanovsky's original plan was to relieve the patients from suffering, especially in the most severe cases in which the tissue, for example skin, started to display serious symptoms of disease of unknown background. As much as small doses of the radiation actually helped and healed extensive wounds, the higher dosage magnified the symptoms and pushed patients to atrocities beyond your comprehension. The madman used it with pleasure. Let me tell you this way, Paracelsus, doctor and naturalist, called the father of modern medicine, had said, "What is a poison? All things are poison, and nothing is without poison. Only the dose makes a thing not a poison." Kaidanovsky stopped practicing medicine when he started research on how to turn things into poison. Overwhelmed with mad desires, he started to poison the life of his and everyone's around him. Keep going, and you will find the truth.
Help me quick. Close the room's door. That damned Finkel will be back soon. Sweet mother, I'm going to die here.
Help me!
Again, be greeted. Unfortunately, I saw his passing. I am not sure if I know the answer to this question, but the truth might be much worse than you think. You might be the one to do it. You keep destroying more dimensions, so you are well on the way to prevent future tragedies. The bright phenomenon is becoming weaker and weaker. Now you are entering another dimension. If you manage to destroy it, you shall get to know Peter's last thought. I don't know if he'd get to know it, But the only chance to catch the victim's thought is at the moment of a dimension obliteration. You can read them then. Keep going. You are getting to the goal and to discovering the truth.
The search for S.W.A.N factor is taking away all my resources. I feel like I'm losing control over everything. And I thought I could have made it. Just like I used to think that I am standing in front of an opportunity to achieve something remarkable. And now I stand here confused and beaten against all my dreams and goals. I, too, am a prisoner in this place. A place that will most probably swallow me forever.
though it seems to me that the road ahead has no end, and my footprints disappear after a few steps of mine, I always return back to the start, and with me, my oppressor came. And even though each path misleads, I keep wandering along those roads. In my thoughts, a new path uncovers. I am looking for it. Some entity follows. I feel that I am still alive, despite the world changing colors, and I slowly lose grip on my surroundings. Someone's coming, and I can't stay in hiding. In my escape, I found consciousness border, and so did my spectral follower, the dark entity staring from behind the sun's face. That entity is me, but I have not believed it once. Again, be greeted. You are still alive, and yes, Patient X had shown you the way to the exit, but finding the last door and the way to open them was all you. It is the bright part of S.W.A.N phenomenon that had hidden in the most mysterious part of the Institute. Maybe what you saw was the last thing you were supposed to see in your life, or it might have been a trap. But you are still alive, and you managed to get out. Apparently, the phenomenon is losing power. This is why you can keep obliterating its parallel dimensions. That city is Pripyat. It must have been close to his heart. Did he live there? We're getting closer to your goal, but the light phenomenon is still there and possesses real danger. It has to be obliterated. Keep on walking. Greetings. Are you asking about Alexei's body? You see, when Professor Kaidanovsky was researching the S.W.A.N factor, all the attempts to get it from patients were met with failure. It made him frustrated and desperate. It was driving him insane. This is where our stories tie together, as I did not tell you the whole truth about my origins before. Professor Kaidanovsky had finally begun to search for the factor within himself. He'd lost his mind and was convinced it was contained within him. It was him that light and shadow were extracted from, thanks to the experiments. After those two entities had left Kaidanovsky's body, the professor lost consciousness and fell into a sort of a coma. Horrendous events started taking place in the institute, and the situation ultimately got out of the personnel's control. When I was powerless, another light phenomenon was killing those poor people. He was unconscious until the special rescue unit arrived at the institute. No, Professor, you woke up when it was all over. You, Professor Kaidanovsky, are behind all of the atrocious work of the institute, and you are solely responsible for everything that happened here. All of the patients, personnel, and rescue unit are dead. If those inhuman experiments had never taken place, this tragedy never would have happened. When you lost consciousness, I thought you were dead. Amnesia has made you completely lose grip with reality and cut you off from your own memories and personality. This is how you pushed out the truth unconsciously, believing you were a part of the rescue expedition. You were in shock and unable to believe that everyone died because of you. Light phenomenon, whose visions have troubled you, was unable to obliterate you for some reason, but you've managed to deal with it and its disturbing thoughts hidden in parallel dimensions. Only you could destroy what you've created. Yes, and thanks to me doing so, nobody will ever die in the depths of new dimensions. And I am afraid there is very little time left. After the separation of phenomenons, you have lost an important part of yourself. With the obliteration of parallel dimensions, you've also destroyed the bright phenomenon. If you obliterate me too, you can peacefully leave this place and not hurt anyone ever again. You shall go to the memory wasteland for one last time. There is only one way out of there. You will know what to do, Professor. Please remember, Professor, to thank yourself. See you on the other side. Where the thought's sun is and memory's wind, that's where restless time unwinds. Forgotten those who were beside us, they shall never be remembered. Forgotten those who were beside us, darkness holds them in a slumber. Forgotten those who were beside us, They shall never be remembered. Forgotten those who were beside us. Darkness holds them in a slumber. Where the thought's print is and memory's wind, that's where the past's vision fades away.